Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Going into part 2 of today's episode, the premiere of Roll20 Presents Tomb of Annihilation. We should just call it Roll20 Presents. Let's listen to Elf do Kobold voice for 3 hours
I'd be
because
down.
Oh yeah, you like it? I'm
it's
glad.
great. It's a good voice.
Because there were two options.
There was a
one,
process.
and one was like this. Hey guys, there's a couple of boys up here.
Good. Let's just save that for when your character is undergoing horrible trauma, and then you can just do that voice instead.
Yeah.
So you, my dear friends, we're gonna stick with our two Baldur's Gate travelers. You appear in a tropical city under the blazing sun. The familiar sounds of a harbor, creaking ropes, slapping waves, heavy barrels rolling across cobblestones mingle with voices shouting and cursing in an unfamiliar language, filled with clicks, inhalations, and sing-songy words that make it sound almost musical. The aroma of unfamiliar spices and tropical fruit mixes with the wharfside smells of fish, tar, and canvas. Beyond all that, Port Nyanzaru is an explosion of color. Buildings are painted in bright shades of blue, green, orange, and salmon pink, or the walls are adorned with murals portraying giant reptiles and mythical heroes. Every building sports baskets and clay urns of colorful flowers or is draped in leafy, flowering vines. Minstrels in bright clothing adorned with feathers and shells perform on street corners. Multicolored pennants and sun awnings flutter atop city walls. A crowd of children dressed in feathered hats and capes races past you, squealing in delighted terror as a street performer costumed as a big-toothed lizard stomps and roars behind them. The whole city seems to be bustling, sweating, laughing, swearing, and singing. So, it's not like you've walked into this. It's not like you've gotten off of a boat. All of this hits you immediately at once. How do the two of you react? I assume neither of you have ever been transported before.
No,
No.
this is wonderful.
I can't imagine
So Arcturus, you are what do we see? We get this big like establishing shot of Port Nyanzaru, and it's like beautiful and kind of overwhelming. Like the saturation is turned up a little too high, and then we come to you. And what are you doing when we see you? You've just like popped in.
Arcturus is a bit wide-eyed, and there's this switch where he opens up a notebook and starts jotting stuff down in shorthand. You can tell that he's listening more than he's looking at things. Like his eyes kind of glaze over a little bit, and he's listening to the music, he's listening to the voices, he's trying to catch like any bits of conversation and languages that he doesn't know, and write down what they sound like and the intonation and everything. He gets a little bit distracted and is going like forward, like moving away, like he's gonna go to stall and just like talk to people.
Like, what's happening?
It's so great. He wants to, yeah, he's very distracted.
So as a distracted Arcturus like looks away, and yet like you immediately are surrounded by languages you've never heard, people with a wide variety of just humans alone of skin color and dress, the various other races of this port city. Like you've been, I assume, like Baldur's Gate's a pretty big city. Have you ever been to Waterdeep before, or like Kalimshan?
I'm sure.
Kalimport, I guess, is the name of the capital. Yeah. So you've traveled a bit. So this is unlike any city you've ever seen before. It's clear that it's its own thing. It's isolated in a way that maybe you've never been to. So as you move away, the camera hangs and stays on Malik. What's your response to being teleported here?
I think Malik gets like stopped for a second. He's not as used to. Actually, that's probably not true, but he probably gets like a moment of just kind of like, oh, that's not good. Nope.
Right. The contents of your stomach teleport in slightly after you do.
Yeah, because I figure as a sorcerer, you kind of have a more personal experience with magic. Maybe it works a little differently for you, or maybe it's like a little bit stronger. Maybe the teleportation feels a little bit stretchier because it's going on like right inside you, because that's where your magic comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a little disoriented at first, but I think for the most part he shares Arcturus's fascination with all the people. He's very excited by like the cosmopolitan nature of it.
Yeah, and I think the thing is you're interested in different things than Arcturus, right? Like what draws your attention?
Um, Probably like the architecture and stuff more. It's only like a port town, but I'm sure there are holdovers and stylistic choices that fit in with what was presumably like the aesthetic held by the lost nation that once encompassed the whole island.
Yeah, well, can
So
you do me a favor? Roll what, knowledge, history, one of
I
those.
have history.
Yeah, you got history. Roll that.
Quick question.
Yes.
I am lucky.
Okay.
How do you want to handle that? Because, wait, do I have to declare it before or after? Because it double rolls when it's on you.
Oh, that's
Let me
right.
just-
Yeah. So normally, how does it work? You roll. Explain
no.
your luckiness to me, because I can change it so that it only rolls once, and we can set it to prompt for.
Oh, okay.
advantage.
I can choose to spend it after I roll the dice, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so I'll see them both as long as it's okay with you. Like it rolls the two, and if I see the second number is higher, I'll be like, yeah.
Oh, I don't care. That's fine. It makes it a little more powerful, but I'm not too worried about that. We'll see how it
Cool.
goes.
Yeah, all right. Just figured I'd do that in case.
Yeah, or you can always roll again, and we can just ignore that, like that 8. But you got a 22, so that's great. So you know a thing or two about Chult, above and beyond the like it's a faraway jungle place. So what I think draws your attention here is that looking around, some of the architecture is. You can see the stratum of architecture, right? That there was probably some kind of elder settlement here in ancient times. You can see it in some of the streets. You can see archways over the street, parts of the city walls. But then on top of that, sort of the next stratum, you can see Omnian architecture. Like clearly, like you've been to Athkatla before, the capital of like clearly this is Omnian style architecture. Predominantly the city's defensive structures. Like the walls around the harbor. The harbor itself is like a Western, like Omnian harbor. And I think that we see a group of city workers who are currently scrubbing, like with big brushes. They're scrubbing a painted sigil off of the side of a wall. Now it's not graffiti; it's an official-looking sigil. It's a shield shape with a gauntleted hand on fire, and they're like scrubbing it off the wall and like singing a little like working song while they're doing it. You can see evidence of the sort of colonial past of Port Nyanzaru, but then all the newer architecture returns to that elder style. There is a clear story to be told here in the city streets and in its walls and in the history that's developed in Port Nyanzaru and how it's changed of late. So you can see all of this nested and laid atop one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whilst this is incredibly like important, I think he takes that in for a second, but then realizes that he has to be the one on point here, the one paying attention. So how like tall is Arcturus, like as a Triton?
He's 5'3".
Oh, you're a little shorter than I am. Okay. Yeah.
Triton are rather short.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, so he would kind of like place a hand on your shoulder to try and like steady you and shake you out of the reverie a little.
Oh, right. We have a task. Surely we'll have time to spend in the city, though.
Well, hopefully indeed. There is much I'd love to learn as well, but you're correct. And has our host teleported with us? Or?
Yes, yeah. So they're sitting in their chair and they're kind of letting you like have your moment of like Chult, what's going on? And when you turn, finally, you're like, oh yes, it's our host here. They nod and they say, it's quite something, isn't it? Oh,
indeed, I've never seen anything like it.
Remember that feeling, my friend. You'll become very acquainted with it the more you explore this place. Now, where is Wakanga, and they lift a frail hand and wave, and you follow you follow where they're looking, and you can see Wakanga Otamu, as we remember Wakanga. You see this man. He has a couple of guards with him, and then in tow, you see two unusual humanoids. Would you like to describe Ishi and Little Fox what they see as you approach?
Sure. So for Ishi, you see very short, lizardy humanoid. I mean, you both probably know what a kobold is.
They're from the Western realms.
You're
They've
from the Western
definitely
realms.
seen-
You know what a kobold is. They're very present maintenance workers in the sewers of Baldur's Gate and so forth. So you see a kobold, but she's wearing what looks like a ripped piece of cloth, like bright red, like cloth. And there's some kind of house sigil on it, but it's ripped through the house sigil. So there's like this big tear through half of a.
What would the sigil of House von Saberberg be? Like, it'd just be like 10 crossed swords.
Yeah, it's got like a wheel of swords, right?
Just so many swords.
Yeah.
Like, I could just imagine a heraldic like artist being like, "But Lord Herschel, are you sure? More swords! Put some more swords on there. Yes, 10 or 15 more."
It's like every time he beats someone in a duel, he'll take their sword and add it to his crest.
Oh, God,
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
it's just this wheel of swords, but it's ripped through the middle, right? And so she has this like around her neck like a cape that she's wearing to the side, but it's knotted in like this big ugly knot that's like sticking out the side of her neck there, sort of thing. And she's also got a hat on, which is in great disrepair. This hat is the kind of hat you find in an alleyway after somebody's lost it, like in a tavern and 4 people have stepped on it, and it's just not in a good way. And it has like a bent feather in it, and a rapier on her hip, that's almost touching the ground. Almost.
I love it. It's so good. A little swashbuckler.
It has to angle really far back to not touch the ground.
I imagine her scales to be probably like a dark red, like in typical kobold fashion. But yeah, the hat is definitely a little too big, floppy, and the horrible cape. The important points.
Okay. And are you like running up ahead of Wakanga?
I'm
scampering
trying.
around.
I'm trying to keep a regal bearing, as one does when one is an important duelist. She's like this little kobold puffing out her chest, with a little sword. Yeah, she's perfect.
Do you put like a hand? Do you do like the Napoleon hand in shirt kind of vibe when you're walking around or something? Do you have some?
No, nothing
affectation?
quite like that.
Okay.
She just has to hold the hilt of the rapier a lot to like tilt it up enough that it doesn't drag.
Right. It's got to be basically horizontal, otherwise it's tapping on the ground as you walk.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Excellent. Okay, so you see this incredibly regal-looking little kobold, dressed as a Waterdavian bravo, accompanied by Wakanga Otamu, the noble merchant, and then Little Fox. Are you kind of like in tow, or are you?
I'm behind. I move slowly, even though if I were to take full steps, I could just be like, cool, I'm there already. But I'm just not very motivated at the moment. This is all Ishi's fault. And so Little Fox is 8 feet tall. So she's freaking enormous. Her skin is like a gray-green color, but it's very like more like flesh, like white person flesh colored on the palms, and like her face is a little bit paler than the rest of her. She has like bristly kind of fur on her forearms and like her back and shoulders. Her hair is like a kind of bright ochre color that fades to white at the tips of it, and it's kind of this big long like unkempt block of it, but that's how she got her name. So someone was like, looks like you got a little fox on your head or something, and that person's
Right.
that person is long dead, but the name stuck.
Sure, of course.
And yeah, she's just wearing like clothes, just like very basic like tunic kind of traveling clothes. and she has this like enormous stone hammer, like a big two-handed maul, and like a shield and a mace at her hip. And yeah, like her skin just has like a kind of stony quality to it, especially on like the outer parts and like around her, anywhere that you would be calloused as a human. She's like, looks kind of like rocks and like chips a little bit. And
That's
yeah.
cool. So Arcturus and Malik, you've all seen a kobold before. Kobolds are essentially vermin throughout the Forgotten Realms. But a furbolg are much rarer, much rarer. And I don't know, like, would either of you recognize Little Fox for what she is, or Arcturus?
I've spent some time with mountainous peoples who fly, no less. I'm sure that they have some kind of relationship with stone giants.
Is that
So
what you? I was
furbolgs
say, is that
are
what you
like,
assume she is?
Yeah.
yeah, I would look like a very young, like a, you know,
Yeah,
12-year-old kid version of a giant.
Yeah, I
But-
would assume that you were like a stone giant. I might not know of Furbolg specifically, but like you look familiar enough.
Yeah, like I could be like a half giant or something.
Yeah, like a soft Goliath, maybe, or like,
Yeah, like it's very ambiguous. But yeah, you can see the little tips of her ears sticking out from her hair as it falls straight down. There's like these little gray.
Excellent. So Wakanga takes a few steps forward to kind of overtake you, Ishi, and approaches, and he looks at your employer, and then bows deeply to the group of you, and he puts his hands out. He's got all these like beautiful like gold rings. He's obviously a wealthy man, and he bows and he says, "Welcome to Chult. I hope your trip didn't take too long." And he smiles because he knows what happened, right? And he smiles at the two of you.
Oh, indeed, it was almost instantaneous. I have never been sorry, what was that spell? Teleported before?
And he nods, and he says, "It is, if you can afford it, the only way to travel. Trust me, I've made the trip from Waterdeep to Port Nyanzaru by boat. It is not a pleasant one. I am glad to have you here in my city." And he steps forward, and I guess he goes to like shake your hand, Malik. He says, "I am Wakanga Otamu, but I imagine you know that already."
Yes. Hang on, I've already forgotten his surname. Yes, Master Tommy. Your reputation, it precedes you. Our gracious host had plenty to say about you. My name is Malik Ibn Tahir Al Gharib. I'll get it. Sorry, I'll practice. And it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. And he'll do like, not like a normal bow. He will do his culture's bow just to, because he likes to remind people of where he's from and stuff. It's important to him.
Yeah. So he smiles and he says, "Scholar Al-Gharib, your work with Netherese pottery shards is fascinating. I've read the treatise twice."
Well, I certainly didn't expect to find myself as... You do me great honor in saying so. In fact, I believe I'm more excited about this trip than warrants. I understand we're here under some very unfortunate time constraints.
He nods and says, "Yes, excitement is a common byproduct of one's first visit to Nyanzaru, but temper it with care. To that end, to keep you safe, may I present your companions?" And he gestures sort of theatrically back to Little Fox and Ishi.
And like Little Fox isn't even looking at you guys. She's like looking off somewhere else.
Yes. Nice to meet you. I am Ishi Snaggletooth. Those here know me as the great duelist Iji Snaggletooth. I will keep you very safe. Yes, indeed. And this is Little Fox. She is also very good at keeping people safe. Mm-hmm. Yep. We will, Wakanga, we were supposed to show them around, right?
Wakanga nods and says, "Yes, Ishi. Make sure that they are not harmed while they are in the city, and if they choose to voyage into the jungle, you are to go with them."
But that wasn't part of.
I'm
Okay.
sure I will not make it too difficult a job for you. I am capable, as is my companion. He says, completely lying about, because you don't have any weapons or anything, right, Malik? You're just weaponless.
Yeah, you look over like to like pass over
Yeah,
to
like,
me, and I smile and I just like conjure like fire in one hand, flick it away.
Ah, yes. As is my companion, it should be an easy job for you two.
With such lauded history as I and Little Fox, of course.
Who is still just like a bird is flying by,
Yeah,
and Little
and
Fox
Ishi-
is just like, oh.
And Ishi is totally just speaking for you.
Oh yeah, there's
you know?
so when we think of like fantasy cities and we think of like kind of vermin animals, like obviously there's rats and stuff here because rats just end up on boats and go everywhere, but instead of like ravens and pigeons, Chult's got parrots. There are parrots all over the place, right? You look up at a tree and there's just like a cluster of like emerald ringneck, like beautiful green birds all chirping away to themselves. They're all over the place. So that, Little Fox, it'd be really easy for you to get distracted by a parrot.
Yeah, and like I'm trying to like get it to like come perch on my finger and like say hi so I can pet it.
Yeah.
So I'm like gesturing up towards this bird.
Yeah, while I'm trying to like show off that you're a badass or whatever.
Yes, I'm good. Little Fox as well. Also very
So yeah, you're like very fierce warrior, and she's like petting a parrot, just being like, like cooing to
Whistling
it.
to a bird.
Yeah.
Malik waits until you run out of steam a little bit.
It takes a while. If you're letting her just talk and you don't interrupt her.
So while you're getting acquainted, Wakanga and your employer are like talking quietly, but they're leaving you a little space to like kind of get to know each other.
Yeah, so he waits very patiently. And you eventually see that he's like waiting to say something, whether like this stops you or not. He's very patient.
So I realize I haven't actually asked you who you are, your names, and so on, and it would be easier to refer to you as something. She doesn't really like any particular name, so I just have to. Sorry. Yep, go. Say.
Malik gives you the bow as well, and then puts like a finger up to his lips, and then like in perfect draconic like greets you as like I don't know, Ishi of the noble and like strong brood of the crimson.
So good.
I'm most pleased to make your acquaintance. This is Malik. This is and then I like swap over to say, and this is Arcturus in common.
Is she like when you bow sort of doffs her horrible hat in some fashion that is very dramatic, and sticks it back on her head, and the draconic is very excited, there's like you can see the light in her eyes as you start speaking draconic to her. She goes,
pleasure to meet you both.
Nice. Malik, take inspiration.
Now, I think if we're going to take a look around and let me show you everything that there is to offer in this fine city, we should probably start with.
So when you say that, Wakanga turns and says, I would suggest, if you are looking for lodging, that you visit Kaya's House of Repose. If you're looking for a good night's sleep, that is. If you're looking for somewhat more raucous company, find yourself at the Thundering Lizard. And then he looks at you, Ishi, and says, nowhere less reputable than that. Hmm?
Kaya doesn't like me, so I'll take it to the other place.
Yeah, you better run in. A run in with Kaya before. Yeah, like, nope, not going there. Not to the good place.
My last cape was some sheets from the beds. They weren't particularly happy about that. No, never mind. Thundering Lizard is better anyway. I mean, lizard in the name. Better.
I am quite fond of thunder myself.
Somewhere in the background just...
Then it is settled. I don't have to figure an excuse as to why I have to go to that. Yeah.
Ishi, has no one told you before of the remarkable similarity between your name and the god Istishia? It is quite
nope.
striking to me, indeed. I think it may be a sign. We should talk more.
Have you heard of our Lord and Savior? Water?
Yeah.
Someone just told Ishi to talk more. This is a bad turn.
I'm very happy to talk more. Always happy to talk more. And I will ask you many things. But Thundering Lizard, let's go there. Come on.
Yeah. So
we'll let those two do all the bids, organizing or whatever.
Wakanga says to you, I will bid the group of you farewell. I am going to take my old friend to rest. If you need of either of us, you know, and this is addressed to Ishi, you know where I live. I'll tell the guards not to kick you out on sight. And he smiles, and he says, the Thundering Lizard is in the Red Bazaar. Ishi knows the way. And Wakanga, the servant that was teleported, and your employer head out in a different direction than you're headed. I wanted to show you. There's a cool handout showing just some example Chultans. So here's some like
nice.
Chultan outfits, folk in their traditional Chultan dress. So these are sort of some examples of the things that people are wearing. You see all sorts of folk kind of surrounding you. And I'm actually going to jump us over to another map because you know your way around Port Nyanzaru. So I'm going to bring you over to my map.
I actually have an urchin feature, which allows me to move if I'm not in combat at double speed through any urban environment that I am from, like that I have lived in. So if there's like a time element and a traveling element, I can bring them through all the alleyways rather than like the central.
Oh no, I wish to see everything.
So this is
fine, but this way's quicker.
This is the port. This is Nyanzaru. You can see that it's a pretty big city. And if you take a look in the middle, y'all are kind of in like the vicinity of the harbor ward. We'll say you're like here-ish. Now, so you're down here, and if you want to get to the market where the inns are, it is, let's see, somewhere like nearish here, I think. Do y'all see the numbers, or is that on my?
No.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. So you just get the clean map. That's good. It's up in this direction, up that way.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can take a long walk around the harbor. You can do that. Do you want? I guess. What's your plan, Ishi? Are you going straight to where you?
I mean, when Wakanga says like take them to the Thundering Lizard, Red Bazaar,
nowhere less reputable.
I mean, Ishi loves the Thundering Lizard, the Red Bazaar. Like it's the best named place in town. It's the best part of town.
Mm-hmm.
So of course we're gonna go there. It's perfect. So
whatever your intentions are with wherein like guiding us directly to or whatever, Arcturus is constantly like stopping, talking with merchants, like writing things down. He's getting lost.
You know what? I totally misled you. It's down here. The harbor master's office is up there. That's where they head. Wakanga goes
Okay.
So yeah, you actually want to cut through the streets this direction, going south. Now that thing directly to the south of you, speaking of which, that is the Grand Colosseum between here and there. There's the Grand Colosseum. There's the fish market over here, fish market of Port Nyanzaru. This big building over this way is the Hall of Gold. It's a golden temple to Joaquin. And you can see it from here. I think that as you get a look around, again, we're getting a nice pan of the city. And so we see the Grand Colosseum. There's some... it's closed right now. There's a big sheet over it to protect it from the sun. And then as we pan across, we see this massive dome, and it's this big golden dome, and the sun just bounces off of it in all directions. And then you can also see over here, there's like steam rising from another kind of glass and stone building of unusual size. There's all kinds of amazing stuff in Chult or in Port Nyanzaru. Where do you want to go?
Well, tavern first. Get some lodging so that we're set for the night, and then these two explorers can explore. And I gotta watch them. So I guess I gotta do that. Otherwise, Wakanga's gonna be mad. So, I take them directly to the Thundering Lizard is the plan. Like
it takes way longer than you
as directly as I can. And yeah, I imagine that it's super frustrating for Ishi because she knows every way that is like faster than the way that you see to go. But Arcturus just wants to take it slow. So it's very much a like, come on, we gotta get to the okay, well, I'll wait. Yeah. What's new with you? Like talking. Yeah.
Okay. So you head that way, and I think that you come around the side of the Colosseum. There's a bunch of sort of statuary around the edge of it. You can see some statues of brave gladiators of the past. As you continue down into the Red Market, and the whole market ward is. If you thought that the harbor was like busy and raucous, this place is like nuts. It's packed. There's shouting. There's massive barrels of like indigo, for example, like blue, deeper and purer than any blue you've ever seen, except for maybe in the ocean, Arcturus. There's all kinds of plants and food. Nothing that Ishi or Little Fox really can afford. But
I was gonna say
beautiful goods nonetheless.
I know the place to get the best snacks.
You want to see? I'll show you. Like head off to a stall and sleight of hand some like sticks of meat off of a or whatever.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't eat surface dwelling animals.
Oh my god, you're a surface vegan. That's so good.
We shorten it.
Take inspiration. That's too good.
We shorten it to surf vegan.
So it's like you're an opposite of a pescatarian. You're like, oh, I don't eat anything that came from the surface. I'm sorry.
No, so that is a pescatarian.
That is a pescatarian.
Yeah. Do you have any crabs or? Oh my god, that's so good. Yeah, so the Red Bazaar deals mostly in now. There's two markets in Port Nyanzaru. There's the open market of the Red Market. It's this market ward. No one knows. There's lots of different reasons why it might be called that. They all have different like sort of lurid tales. And this sells everyday goods, meat, vegetables, tropical fruit, various like insect repellents, rain catchers. Predominantly like a local market for buyers and sellers. There's another market called the Grand Souk that deals in like goods and luxury items, but this is all like food and whatever.
I'm imagining the scene, a small scene of like, you ever had one of these and like throw a durian at like Malik.
So Malik, you're thrown some kind of like just stench blob, like it's a fruit that just stinks to high heaven.
Don't forget that it's spiny.
Yeah, and it's sharp. It's sharp and smells bad. It might be a kobold egg. You don't know.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I can pick it up. I got scaly hands. So like,
yeah.
It looks a bit like
like a sea urchin or something.
A sea urchin, yes. But smells like a several days old sea urchin.
Yeah, it looks like a living sea urchin. Smells like a dead one.
Tastes like a dead one, too. I don't know what sea urchins taste like.
Onwards!
So Ishi, are you imagining like a sea urchin is just like a poor kid that lives underwater?
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
you're
it's
an
just-
urchin too, right?
It's like dirty and this is
So is it? I guess. I
unfriendly.
mean, maybe that would be reassuring to you to know that even Tritons have like
Even
their
Tritons
poor
have
underwater
poor
children.
Underwater children.
Except for that is not the case at all.
That's true. Not awesome. Okay.
We're like Star Trek. We've moved past like hunger and need for housing. Everyone is Star Trek under the ocean.
Perfect. Undersea Star Trek. So you approach the Thundering Lizard. It is it's a multi-story inn, crafted from a repurposed Omnian like building, maybe a warehouse or something. The balconies have been recently reinforced or installed, I guess. And there are a few people outside standing on them. They're having their lunch. You've arrived around midday. I feel like you're probably in more or less the same time zone as when you left. So people are eating their midday meal out on the balcony, and they take note of you as you approach. And the door to the inn, the Thundering Lizard, is the skull of a massive creature, the likes of which Arcturus and Malik you've never seen. Ishi and Little Fox, you know that it's the head of a thunder lizard, of a tyrannosaurus. It's massive jaws, and you also know that like much of it is plaster. It just is like a good replica. So many of its teeth are fake. They're wood with plaster and paint covering them. But it strikes an imposing figure in the noon sun of Port Nyanzaru. And so as you walk up, there are a few people outside smoking tobacco from like long pipes, wearing their brilliant like saffron and orange robes, their dark skin glistening in the sun, and they like nod and wave to you as you approach. And from inside you can hear a band. You can hear music playing.
I think Ishi like poses outside of this place and like the skull of this big lizard and goes like,
It's not a dragon. I asked him if it was a dragon the first time. It's not a dragon. It's just a big lizard. But it's cool, right?
What about this lizard was thunderous? Did they have some sort of magic or?
oh,
So are you imagining give me the thought bubble when someone says to Arcturus thunder lizard, we see like boop boop boop, like what do you envision here?
I mean, I'm envisioning like a very large what are those lizards that like the actual real ones that starts with
the Komodo dragons.
Yeah, I'm imagining like a really large Komodo dragon that like when it smacks the ground with its like webbed thing, it like thunder waves. Yeah.
Awesome. So maybe we see like a little cartoon drawing of some goblins scattering as this thunder lizard chases after them, stomping the ground.
I've never had to be near one, but I would maybe sometime in the future. I really hope not. Anyway, let's go inside. You have to go through the mouth.
Ah, so unique.
So yeah, is the door literally like a mouth of this thing? And you step over the teeth.
Yeah.
How tall of a door is it, Adam?
It's big. It's in accordance with the jaws are canted wide enough to make it impressive, and this is one of the few places you don't have to duck.
Oh, good. Okay.
Cool.
I probably still bump into something
Is she-
on my way
is she
and like
kind
knock
of,
a
like-
couple teeth loose.
She kind of like waves the rest of you in before her, as if she's gonna come in last.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a standoff then between you and I at the door, and I like look down at you, like with this kind of questioning look.
What? You gonna go in? You want to stay
And then
outside?
I just point. It's just like a long arm slowly extends and points inside.
Okay, fine. I guess I'll go.
And then just like like steps over the teeth of the thing and just
Yeah, I think I just like lift you a little bit and plop you down on the other
just
side.
grab the back of my shirt like a
Yeah.
slight bit.
And your like feet are kind of walking in the air, and I just like bloop, put you down.
You don't have to do that. I can navigate myself just fine. This place isn't made for
And then yeah, she kind of like ducks in under the jaws of the thing and
Yeah, like
falls.
I love that. I love the dynamic of like I'm always talking and you never say anything. Like
It's good.
Yeah, and I just keep like ushering you in, like pushing you along while you're trying to like argue with me. Just one hand. I don't need two. Just one. You're tiny.
so what's going on the
There's
inside
like
of this?
half a second while you're arguing outside where I turn to my companion Arcturus and say, "Well, it certainly seems that they furnished us with guests as colourful as the local geography."
Oh, I have not spent much time amongst kobolds or giants. I am quite excited, actually, to interview our companions. I mean, I need very little protecting, so my god will protect me, and I can protect the little one, and I'm sure little Fox can protect herself.
Yeah, and she like appears next to you, like the light suddenly goes a little darker as she obscures whatever was lighting you up.
Yeah, awesome. So you you make your way into the inn, and inside there is the smell of roasting meat. There are a bunch of tables out in this kind of common area with traders and travelers. A grand mix of people, both local and foreign, because Chult has but the one port, so there's lots of people here. It's very cosmopolitan. And you see all these people kind of gathered in the inn talking. It is raucous as was promised. There is a group of percussionists up on a sort of raised stage in the middle, playing hand drums, and someone is playing some kind of like it's a wooden box with a bunch of metal sort of prongs that are sticking out of it, and this person is using their thumbs to sort of poke at the prongs, making a very complicated metallic sort of ringing sound as they play. And there are a bunch of people around listening and clapping and cheering, listening to the music. And there is also there's a staircase that leads upstairs, ostensibly to where you might get a room to rest. And there are folk who are carrying trays of food to the various tables. It is sort of the afternoon rush. I think that when you walk in, the other thing that you notice, and Ishi, you and Little Fox know that this is a common staple. There's a group of varyingly clueless-looking travelers or merchants or explorers to be standing around in front of a big wooden board. And on the board, there are a bunch of notices nailed up. Some look like warnings, right? Painted in vivid red, warning you away from things. Some are looking for guides. And then there's another section that lays out all of the current jungle guides that are looking for work. People who are looking to lead groups out into the jungle. So you see that in the inn, and then the inn itself is full of noise and life.
And yeah, Little Fox just kind of like walks past you guys in the way of like there's not really enough room, but she just keeps moving and you kind of are forced to push out of the way, and just kind of grunts as she walks over to the like poster board. And I'm gonna try to figure out which one of these guides is actually worth a damn.
Okay. Yeah, you want to look at the guide list?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you walk over to the list there, and there's a whole bunch of notes tacked up, advertising the various guides, and I don't know, like you've never guided anyone before into the jungle, so maybe you don't know these people.
No, like I've gone off
Specifically?
on my own to those places, but I'm just gonna try to like read these adverts and figure out what is actually, which one of these people are actually reliable or good, based
Okay.
on nothing at all. But I just assume that I'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. So let me see. I think that I actually have some like handouts that I can show you of the various little ads that are tacked up here.
And I'm
Yeah,
picturing
while you're
her
looking-
like, sorry, go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah, so Little Fox is just like reaching like way down and like squinting, and like there's this like check as she pulls the paper off the thing and then like holds it up to her face and like has to kind of like is like moving her mouth while reading because she doesn't like get a lot of chances to read this like language or dialect, and maybe their writing isn't the best either for that matter. And then like squints and like shakes her head, puts it back, and like pins it to the board again, and then like a little check as she takes the next one down.
Sure. Okay. So here you go. I'll make these so you can all take a look at them, and then we can dig through them. Hang on one second on these. I think I can maybe just show you the image. Let's see. Okay. Do you see that?
Oh yeah.
So there's the first one. You yank this one down and unfold it and take a look at it. And they've all got, these like, so there's an official like thing that you do, that you get your picture like drawn and placed up as part of the fee you pay to become an official guide. There's like a guides guild, and each of the guides have had their picture drawn and placed up on the board. So here's the first one.
While you're looking at the guides, Arcturus like is going up to the drums and like putting his hand on the outside of the drum to like feel the vibrations of it. And it's really awkward, and I love it. Sorry. I just wanted to describe that.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good. So you just like close your eyes and you're like the person at the concert that walks up to the speaker and just like feeling the vibrations. Totally. Well, because all of your own music
is under the water.
Would purely be like vibration based. So, you as you can see, you have many options for exciting guides.
Do I know? Here's the question. While dear little fox is poring over the guides, do I know who the proprietor of this place is, or the person I would talk to about getting lodging here?
Yeah. I mean, the proprietor is a woman named Amadi, and I mean, she like owns and runs the place. But you can talk to any of the employees about that.
Well, then I will approach a familiar employee.
Okay.
One who would know me or like recognize me at the very least. I'm fairly recognizable.
Yeah, so you come up to a handsome young man who has just taken a drink order from a table of sort of confused looking northern traders. He turns, almost steps on you, apologizes and takes a step back. And then realizes who it is. He rolls his eyes and sighs. And he's like, Ishi, I don't have anything for you today. I'm sorry. Please, out of the way. I have to get these drinks in.
No. I have official business this time. Wakanga sent me.
He turns and looks at you and he says, oh, well, that's different. If one of the 7 merchant princes of the city send you, noble Ishi, to do business here, then by all means. He like does like kind of a mock bow while he's like walking towards the kitchen. Like, I don't have time for this, Ishi.
Are you making fun of me?
I would never. A dangerous duelist such as yourself. How could I?
I have my friends are looking for lodging, maybe for a night or so. While we figure out.
When you say friends, he looks up and Malik, I think you're the closest. Malik, what are you doing when he looks up at you?
Yeah, I'm trying to like peer at these handouts as well, but like I noticed that there's like this altercation happening, and he's kind of sighing and like readying himself to have to diffuse something here.
Okay, yeah.
So my friend here, like gesturing towards Malik and continuing.
The server, he's like, oh, okay, out of the way, you little lizard. Or dog, whatever you are, and like tries to push past you. This is not one
dragon.
This is not one of the people who thinks you're a dangerous duelist. And he walks up to you, Malik, and he says, "I am sorry, sir. I'm very busy, but if you are looking for rooms, I will go and tell Amadi that you're here. Please have a seat at one of the tables. There should be a free one by the stage." And then he points, and we see Arcturus like hands on the drum, while the drummer's like, "Yeah, okay." He's like kind of gotten used. He's like, "Fine, whatever, you're into it." And he's like, "Is he one of yours?"
He is an esteemed colleague. However, Not from around these parts. Very curious.
He
Thank
gives you
yes.
he gives you a you don't say. Look, the blue man with gills isn't from around here. And he nods. And he says, "Of course, sir. Please have a seat. I'll send Amadi. I'm sure she would love to meet you."
Yes, I will have a seat. Thank you. Like,
Yeah, he turns and like almost trips over you again.
Yeah, she's just underfoot. Like,
All right, so he like steps over you and like kind of turns and like he's a waiter and a practiced one, so he's got lots of opportunity to learn how to do the ballet of being a server. So he doesn't drop anything and kind of makes his way over there. But Malik and I guess we cut to Arcturus, Malik, Ishi, and Little Fox. Do you come back to the?
Yeah,
to the
come
table?
back to the table
All right,
with
so-
2 ads
All right,
in
which-
hand and
which-
like
Which two?
put them down with heavy fingers, pinning them to the table.
As an out of character statement, there's only 3 guides that will agree to waive their fee, and I have them.
Oh yeah, no, I've got 2 of those 3.
Okay.
Okay, so which guides have you chosen? Have you narrowed it down to?
So I have Azaka's handout
Yeah.
Okay.
and Musharib's handout.
Yes, and River Mist and Flask of Wine will also agree to waive the fee for treasure, but evidently they might be working with the Zentarum. So.
And here is, so like she speaks, and for some of you this is like the first time hearing Little Fox talk at all, and she just says, "These 2." And then there's a long pause. And then like maybe as someone is about to speak, she like speaks again and just says, "They have their own business, which means we can trust them to want that. Others," shakes her head. And then she goes quiet.
And the Arcturus picks up Azaka's ad and says, this woman says that she was born in the jungle. How exciting.
Sometimes they're not entirely truthful, but you pick the one that works best for you if you think we're going to need a guide. I mean, Lil Fox knows how to live out in the.
and she just keeps talking. Like, please talk over me.
Yeah, and so what I think happens is that we hear Ishi, rambling in the background. You're all brought drinks. And we see on the table, we sort of pan down to the table, we see Azaka and Musharib's handouts pinned to the table by Little Fox's mighty fingers, and we fade the sound and the video fade out as we go to break. So we're gonna take our second break here, and when we get back, you can have the discussion of which guide you would like to take on for your quest. Don't go anywhere, my friends. We will be back with more Tomb of Annihilation right after this.